with you. So you've got three categories. You've got people who send you referrals. You've got people who are past clients who buy and past clients who sell. So notice here that, again, a huge part of her business came from past clients, almost half of her business. So where she needs to be focusing, it's important that she continue to generate new business, but what she really needs to be focused on is being in contact with those past clients because they are sending her a lot of business. So it's really important that she spends her time and her marketing dollars, and if she's mailing, she needs to be mailing to them, not necessarily doing a geographical farm. Now, again, when we look at her profile, well, overwhelmingly, and we broke this out by decades, so it's like 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, so forth and so on. So here you have the ages. So she's overwhelmingly serving people in their 40s. Now, she didn't know this until we did this exercise. She has 56% of her business from ages in this group. She was aware of it, but she didn't realize what a big chunk of business that was for her. The other thing that she didn't realize was that she had a huge number of women that she was dealing with who were either single or women who were going through a divorce. So she was really attracting a big chunk of her business from this particular demographic. 44% of her business was from single or divorcing women, and she didn't have any idea about that. So one of the things she might do is when she's designing her marketing materials, and if she's representing a condo, which a lot of women like to have because they don't have the outside upkeep, then this is something where, okay, I really need to be focused. My advertising needs to show women that are in their 40s, maybe by themselves, cooking or gardening or doing something, but I want to show that single 40-ish lifestyle for the people that I'm attracting in my business. Now, this particular agent was based in Silicon Valley, so needless to say, she's working with a lot of people in the high-tech business. Then, in fact, 56% of her clients were from high-tech, so again, she was kind of engineering and geeky kind of gal. Well, this is a perfect fit for her. Most of her business was with sellers. She has a 60-40 split here. 60% of her listings and 40% buyers. That's kind of a nice balance, especially in the seller's market that I assume that you're in the most price ranges there in San Diego. Then what was interesting, she was aware that most of her clients were from the local area, and that's true for most of us. But when we went through this, last year at this time, one of the things that that we noted was that she had 5 different sets of clients representing 20% of her business that was from outside the U.S. And in particular, she had 3 sets of clients from India. And what we talked about was how she might be able to expand that client base that was from India. So she had 20% of her business was international. Well, what she did, she took that advice, and one of those clients referred her someone to a $2 million listing that she double-ended. So by focusing on the fact that she had a niche here in international and specifically with India, this was an opportunity that came about because she focused on being in that niche. Now, finally, what subdivisions is she selling in? Predominantly in Oak Hill, and a secondary, 32% in Oak Hill, and a secondary area in Playa. So she's getting most of her business, 60% of her business from those 2 areas. So for this agent, what we know about her, she should be in the $200,000 to $300,000 condo price range, the $500,000 to $600,000 for single family. She's going to get most of her business by prospecting from her sphere of influence and people who are past clients. Her ideal client will be in their 40s, probably a single woman who works in the high-tech system, most likely to come from the local area, but might be from offshore, and will want to live in Oak Hill or in Playa. So what I have now is I have a profile of what this particular agent's high probability selling patterns are. The secret here, instead of working harder to get into your BHAG, instead of having to work harder, Instead, what you want to do is search for the commonalities. These lead to connection, and this in turn gives you your business niches. Specifically, you want to ask what niches are you serving. Now, when my friend Teresa Boardman did this, and Teresa she is very geeky, but she's also a photographer, so she blogs using a lot of photos. Well, what she found is that she was attracting people who were university professors in math and science. That's her geeky side. But because of her photography blog, she was also attracting a lot of artists. So what she does is she has two very different sites for these groups. The artists seem to like her. She has a blog called The Real Estate Weenie, which is kind of just off the chart funny. But for her more serious clients, she's got sites that have a lot of data on them, and give them the numbers because they like doing the numbers. So the question you need to ask for your business is, what niches are you serving, and then focus on those niches and let go of the rest. Put your efforts into your personal top 50%, and then forget about everything else. And try this. What happens is we put a lot of effort into things that don't work. And what will work for you is if you focus on that top 50% that you get from doing this exercise. It takes, it's going to maybe take you an hour or two to do it, but it is so worth it because it's going to tell you where to spend your money going into 2015. And I'd like to suggest that you do it every single quarter because the market shifts. And what you may be attracting now, or what may be happening now in the market, it may be that the $500,000 to $700,000 price range in San Diego is on fire, and all of a sudden it goes dead, and it's just the first-time buyer market that's hot. Or it may be the high end, the ultra high end is good, but the kind of middle high end is not. You're not going to know until you track that to see what's coming in your own business. Now, secret number 3 is to know your numbers. And I know some of you are going to tune out with this, and that's okay. But those of you who like to track numbers, this is an important thing to do, and I want to encourage you to do it if you can. And I know you guys, most realtors don't like dealing with numbers, but this is, in terms of goal setting and business planning, is something you need to be doing. So the first thing you need to do is to calculate your average price per transaction. So you've written down your income goal already for the next 12 months. So assuming that you wrote down $100,000 and you doubled it to $200,000, but if you want to keep it at 100, you can, or you go to 150, whatever works for you. You'll need to calculate what was your average commission per transaction. So you want to divide your commission income for the last 12 months by the number of closed transactions you had. So assuming that we have a situation, assuming I made $52,000 and I closed 13 transactions, my average net to me per transaction was $4,000. So now, if I want to make $100,000 and I make $4,000 per transaction, well, then I'll divide 100,000 by 4,000, and that gives me 25 transactions. So that's what I'll need to do, if that's my price point. Now, let's take a look at some closing ratios, and here's some things that are going to really surprise you. First of all, did you know that for domestic U.S. buyers and sellers, when you first start working with them, 33% of them will close. That means 67% will not close. So you meet them and you take them out at least once, or you sign a listing, you've got a 33% chance that transaction will close. If you're working with buyers from outside the U.S., the probability that they will close is 50%. So you will have better luck with international clients if you're comfortable working with them, especially for those of you who are fluent in other languages. This is a really great way to niche your business because, again, you can do more deals with the same amount of work. So if I am working with domestic U.S. clients, and that tells me I'm going to need 75 clients to close 25 transactions. If I'm working with international clients, I need 50 to close 25 transactions. Now, the good news about being in San Diego, your price points are higher than this, so most of you are probably netting more than this from your sales. Now, I'm going to share this. Many of you may have heard about this Harvard Business school study that shows that students who had a business plan as compared to those who did not, how much more did they earn? Well, having a written business plan is the secret to success. So in the Harvard study, did the people who had a business plan, how much more did they earn as compared to those who did not? Did they earn 2 times as much, 4 times as much, 7 times as much, or 10 times as much? Well, here's what the truth is. They earned more than 10 times as much money. Just having a written plan meant 10 times as much income. So by writing down your annual goals, which you have just done, and then using that form about what are my personal annual goals? Do I want to put one of my children through college? Am I saving for retirement? I want to go on that special trip for our 20th wedding anniversary. What is it that you want for your business? What the Harvard study showed that only 3% of their people in the study had written goals. 13% had goals but not in writing, and 84% had no goals. 10 years later, the 13% with goals were earning double what the others were earning, and those with written goals were earning 10 times as much as the other two groups combined. So just by writing down your goal this morning, you set yourself on the path to earn a lot more money than people who do not have that, that goal GPS set before them. Secret number 5 is to always, and
Bernice, we're having trouble with the sound if you can hear us. So can let me know if you can hear me, those of you that are on. I can't hear Bernice. Okay, so Kathleen says she can hear me. Thanks. So while we're waiting for Bernice, who may need to log out and log in again, let's see what she's saying. Okay, we've gotten some really good questions, so let's start talking about those and let's hope we can get Bernice back on. Yeah, she looks like she's logging back in now. So one of the things we were asking that we were talking about was that the international. So how can we convert these international out-of-state people into home buyers? That example that she gave had 5 or 6 out of the United States home buyers, but she was able to leverage that into even more. So I think it will be really, really great when Bernice gets back on the line, and it looks like she might be getting back in now. And yes, for those of you that are asking, there will be a recorded version, so we will get that. I'll get that link out to you as soon as the webinar is over. Looks like Bernice is still logging back in, and we can all see her screen right now. So she's probably frantically trying to get back in. So I guess I'll ask her that to kind of so we can get back moving on that. And then there were some other questions about niches and selecting niches and things like that. So I'll be asking her those as well. So feel free to keep the questions coming while we're getting back in, and I will definitely get to those and give her some time to answer those at the end of the webinar. Bernice, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can all hear you. So, we can
also see my screen. That's a different issue.
Yeah, we can see your screen too. And I was just telling everybody that's on the line that we have a lot of good questions about niches and international niches and things like that. So,
do you want to take some of them right now, since we had a natural pause there that we didn't plan for? So let's go ahead and take them.
So Kathleen, yes. So Kathleen asked a really good question. When you gave that example on your production profile, it says, how did that referral come as a result of the international niche? So can you talk a little bit about obtaining referrals from that international segment that you gave an example of on the production profile?
Okay, this is a little bit of an aside, but there are a number of different ways to do this. You can advertise in a local language paper. So, there are almost everywhere in the United States, there are papers for people from India. So you can take out, and there are websites for that where you can take out free ads. But what she did is she worked with those clients, and she stayed in contact with them, and she just, she was in conversation with them regularly. So when they heard about one of their friends who was, they had bought $1 million house from her. So when they heard from one of her friends, one of their friends was going to be purchasing, well, then they referred them to her just because she stayed in contact and gave them great service. So if you find that you have attracted international clients, then stay in contact with those people regularly. Get involved. If they have a charity or they're doing something for their church or whatever it is, where you can volunteer, you want to be seen with them at events if possible, or serving the community. And serving the community is really important for our Gen Ys, because they want people who are involved with the community who give back. That's one of the best ways to market.
Great, thanks. Let me just ask you one more before we get back into it. You mentioned in the seller's market, it's good to have 60% listings and 40% buyers that you're working with. Again, that was on the production profile page when you were analyzing that agent's profile. But we're trending in a lot of areas of San Diego County and throughout the United States towards a buyer's market. So what would be a good percentage balance when we're in a more significant buyer's market?